Do you fear anybody?
No, no. If you're up, willing to fight me, we can fight. No problem. Come and try me, anyone. I'm number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and maybe John and Mighty Mouse is 10. That's where I feel.
To say, Connor's picking what he wants, Connor's doing what he wants.
I am picking what I want, and I am doing what I want. When you can rack up $400 million in revenue for the company in back-to-back events, you can do whatever the fuck you want. I'm living the whatever the fuck I want life. That's the life I live. Whatever I want, whenever I want.
Many times I was laughed at and not believed in, but you know what? Nothing external can defeat the internal. The only thing that can take someone down or break you down is internal. Nothing external is strong enough. It's just about making sure your internal dialogue and your internal belief in yourself is strong enough that it can withstand the external. The external is there. You've got to accept it. You've got to embrace it. You've got to understand it and be aware of it. But don't let it seep into your internal dialogue.
I like to say I'm not petty, but I'm definitely petty. I'm definitely petty today. This is not profitable trader activity. Anyways, let's recap today's trade. You guys already read the title. I know some of you guys are like, yes, yes. Hopefully he goes on a losing streak from here, please. No, but in all seriousness, I'm going to recap today's trade. I'm going to recap my filtering on what actually led today being a losing day, because it wasn't the actual main trade execution I was looking to take. However, me executing outside of timing, it was very, very obvious to me for when to execute. However, I chose to execute outside of that timing based upon our model with quarterly theory, and that is what led to my first 2 trades being losing trades, when I simply could have waited for what I'm about to explain, which would have ended up just bringing a break-even day on the trading day. So we're going to recap. Holy cow, I do that a lot, like that. Anyways, let's recap a news data release. That is the journal. What do you guys think of the journal, by the way? I think it's pretty fire. Had to figure out something that works, you know? Like, look at this. Like, takes you to like the links. Need to change the banner of the SVJ because I don't like that banner of the SVJ. It wasn't even going to be an SVJ. Anyways, news data release. So where is Google? There it is. So today we had news data release at 10 a.m. We had consumer sentiment and existing home sales. Trump does speak later. I don't know what's going to happen. That's not my concern as of right now. Going to price action, because how does news data relate to today having been a loss? Well, it correlates into 2 things. Before we get into those 2 things, let's recap my daily outlook. I was actually bearish today. As simple as that. As you guys know, my daily outlooks aren't the best. Well, they are. I usually utilize an if and, like, if price action continues bullish, this is what we're looking to see. If price action continues bearish, this is what we're looking to see. You know, I use it and if, whatever, you know, however you want to word it. So I wouldn't say like my daily outlooks are good or bad. They're reactive based upon price action, but that's exactly what I was looking to see today. Today we had previous day high, previous day high, and then I was looking to see get potentially taken out for a short to the downside. Originally, I was looking for a long to previous day high, of course, as per usual. But the reason why we didn't end up getting that was mainly because we had no sequential SMT off of these lows. I was like, hey, market open, if we dump and form a sequential SMT off of this low resistance liquidity right here, I would then be looking to take that long to previous day high. But that was only if market open we began to dump. The probability of that happening was pretty low. As you guys can see, market continued to rally today. So going into the trading day, we're bullish. We're very, very, very bullish on the weekly time frame. For my weekly analysis, my overall weekly analysis, I was bullish on the week. I was expecting this week to be an open, low, high close. And now, as price action continued to develop throughout that week, you know, I was continuing to react, saying, hey, we may not form that open, high, low close. However, on Sunday, we were expecting that open, high, low close, ended up forming it. Pretty cool. So going into Friday, today, keeping that in mind, I was still expecting price to be bullish with a potential reversal, but not a full daily reversal, an open high low close type of reversal, more like an open high open low. Sorry, I kind of like gotta mentally draw. I don't know. I just mentally do that, or I just physically do that. Like open low high, slight reversal, then close. Not necessarily near true week open, but relative with that high, that wick high on the weekly candle. Going into market open, as we continue to displace higher, I was like, okay, bro, like what PD arrays do we have in order to potentially look for a reversal off of? We have this 4-hour, I guess you can classify this as a 4-hour breaker as well, but I didn't even realize that till now. Didn't really care about it. The main point is I was trying to look for any confirmation of short. We were well overextended in my personal opinion. I was like, hey, no reversals, no retracements, no nothing. I'm looking for some sort of correction. Marked out my standard deviation. We're in -2 on the standard deviation from the break of structure on the 15-minute time frame. On the 5-minute time frame, we were well above the -4. So I was looking for a reversal from that. I thought that was max expansion. So I was like, okay, let's look for some type of short. We did end up getting our short. Now I can talk about, now that you all are caught up with market open, what was happening with price action, now I can comment on the 2 first initial losing trades, as well as how news data release and quarterly theory could have helped us totally avoid those 2 initial losing trades, which would have led it to just being a break-even day, which would have still ended up showcasing green, which would have given me that little dopamine edge. I'm joking, it's not about the hits of dopamine. Focus on the consistency, even though like you still have to tailor your model to in a way that works with your psychology, so you don't want to while trading. Anywho, going to market open, what was I looking to do? Well, going to market open, I was looking to short, obviously. Once we took out previous day high, we had this 1-minute rejection block we ended up forming. I will play it back right here. Wait for the quarters to any day now. Okay, bro. Oh my gosh, now they both load. Okay, so going to market open, we were overall within Q3. Obviously, as you guys should know by now, if you guys are watching these recaps, New York always happens during third quarter. But on the microcycle, we were within Q2. I don't typically ever execute within Q2. I oftentimes will execute within Q3 to Q4. As you guys have seen, obviously, I will go in and review my data on the week, so I can continue to improve. That is also a way you can continue to refine your mechanics. Obviously, for me, I found that I don't even trade within microcycle second quarter of New York Open, of Q3, session Q3. So why am I trading? Very rarely. And if I do, there's overall external higher time frame confluence that aligns with that. Oftentimes, it's not just simply a sequential SMT waiting for a 1-minute rejection block. Oftentimes it's a sequential SMT with a higher time frame PD array with a lower time frame confluence than an entry confluence. However, we ended up just having this rejection block. I would say I was a little too antsy for this short, so I executed. I was like, hey, if this is the short, not trying to miss it. That oftentimes happens with me with that first initial trade. After that first initial trade, that's when I start to get clarity as market continues to develop for timing my executions, aligning my executions with time, price with time, and confluences, overall confluence alignment. So ended up executing upon this. This could have easily been avoided. Why? Due to it not only having been Q2, but also us having news data release at 7. But on top of that, because that's not the only thing, you can still take a probable trade execution and news, if your draw on liquidity is accurate, obviously news will push price to that draw on liquidity, that objective. But the main point being having no quarters aligned here. Right here, you could see I wrote out XAMD, And as you guys seen in the live recording, I wrote this out too. XAMD, we were still within the quote accumulation phase of this overall higher time frame. I would really classify it as XXAMD, but there's only 4 quarters, so XXA, and then the M is like last quarter, and then it goes into the D as well. Pause, no pause, rewind, warp. So price ended up stopping us out there. That was a quick loss. Now, where was our second trade execution? This second trade execution could have easily been avoided, and I wrote that here. I was fine with the first execution, taking that first initial loss. Nothing wrong with that, you know. However, the second execution is where we had a problem. This was not even a clear change in state of delivery, and I chose to execute upon it. Up to this point, I was like, hey, you know, if we have displacement below this candle, I want to see that act as a change in state of delivery and hold for price action to continue dumping. What are we doing, bro? What are we doing? I'm acting like laid back here in the trade recap, but as you guys know, I am very serious about my trading. But what are we doing, bro? You know, we're not aligning price with time. You know, like, you're trying to catch reversals, but you're not doing the one thing, which is trying to properly time the reversal. What are we doing, bro? Like, I get it, you know, we have SMT, but sequential SMT means nothing if you're not timing it. Like, if your timing's off, then it's just a regular SMT. Like, what? Then there's no difference. I guess, bro. But fortunately, I do have a couple brain cells left to go in and review this and move forward. Hopefully not making the same mistake. Obviously, it will take time to refine this, but something simple we can look to improve upon. That ended up getting stopped out. This price action continued to the upside. Why did we end up taking this short when we did? Because if you guys seen in the recording, I was actually drawing out what I was expecting price action to do. I do that sometimes where I pull out the path tool and I just start drawing squiggly lines. This, new data release. I was expecting to see that, and then a dump lower. I'm not going to draw it out again, but what I drew out is exactly what happened. Price began to accumulate, manipulated, and that's when we had the distribution to the downside. Originally, I was looking to execute upon that 1 minute rejection block that had formed. Reason why I didn't was because I was like, bro, let me not have this be just like the first trade. Let me wait for some additional confluences. I know we're beginning to align price with time, but let me just get that full confirmation shot so I don't get stopped out on something stupid to where I'm like, okay, bro, well, could have just waited for an additional change in state of delivery, still would have had a solid risk to reward. You know, there was no need to force that trade idea, you know. So that's exactly what I waited for. I waited for the 30-second change in state of delivery instead of executing upon this rejection block. We did end up getting a retracement into this 5-minute rejection block we formed right here. It was literally right there. So you either got in or didn't. Or obviously would have been better. But my execution was upon that retracement into the 30-second order block. Once that happened, price made a slight retracement before continuing to distribute to the downside going into Q4. If you read my little box right here, I know none of you did because no one does. It's not like you guys are going to pause the live recording and watch what I'm typing out. Unless you do, then holy cow, you're locked. You're locked, man. But I wrote right here, still going to look to hold going into session Q4 right here. Of course, I don't like to see a reversal with a sequential SMT because we ended up forming a microcycle sequential SMT here with YM. We continue to hold that. That was the only reason why I had doubt within this continuing to hold. Distributing to the downside was mainly because of that. And then, of course, I wrote I'd feel a lot more comfortable if we did not have that. Then I also wrote here, if we are going bearish from here, going into fourth quarter, Q4, not only session Q4, but microcycle Q4, you can see from these blue lines right here, we can expect displacement lower. If not, we're overall bullish for the rest of the day and we will reverse and get off the chart. how people utilize macro, yeah, how people utilize like macro from what is it, 9:45 to 10:10 as their time window. I don't utilize macro, but I utilize Q4 as my macro. Obviously, quarterly theory allows you to understand, hey, when price action is looking to make a move, within what time frame. Obviously, you have to have an understanding of it. I'm still developing and growing that understanding, but as you start to get that understanding, you start to see how quarterly theory aligns with price. And in this example right here, we could see at the start, at the open of microcycle Q4, that is when the distribution began. Obviously, distribution or continuation or reversal. Sorry, I'm a little slow today. And we reverse to the downside before continuing to validate higher time frame Peter Ray confluence and that microcycle sequential SMT continuing higher. Right now, what is price doing? From there, I was like, oh, we're looking juicy. I set my TP down here just to set it down here. I didn't think we were going to displace that low. My real target was this 5-minute. And now price action is doing what it's doing. We have this 15-minute rejection block right here. I don't know what price is going to do for the rest of the day. Since that was not the move lower, I am potentially expecting a move higher during New York PM, with the open high low close just being a slight closure, wick closure rather than a large wick, due to that having not been the move of the day. But yeah, solid trading week, not half bad. I'm not going to lie, I am a little petty. This is across 5 accounts. As you guys currently know, I am trading my evaluations. I am taking it slow on them, mainly because this is my second week back executing. Granted, this is the most consistent I have been throughout my entire trading career over the past 2 years of learning and studying the charts. And I'm petty about today being a red day. It's funny, my standard for my trading, I wrote this right here, used to be me getting on the chart and expecting a loss. You know, I would open the chart, I'd be like, okay, today's going to be another losing day. I would execute and I would most likely lose. Or if I would win, I would be like, oh my gosh, there's no way tomorrow is going to be a winning green day. There's no way I'm going to have more than 2 green days in a row. But now that's beginning to become my normal, you know, my standard, not because I'm lucky, but because of how I've tailored my executions and trade frequency, you know. So that's what ends up happening now. And long story short, I don't like saying it makes you sound stupid. I'd rather just like go silent, like, and think of what I'm going to say, then say it. But however, yes, my execution is still great. I'm just a little petty. I wanted all green this week. We would have had 4 winning green days if Top Step X didn't go down. But then again, I'm not gay and I don't say stuff like that. Oh, and if, blah, 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 even though I just said it. You know, if this would have happened, I would have had all green this week. That's pretty gay. And if you're thinking like that, you're pretty gay. Just saying. You know, I got my Hello Kitty lipstick right here, chapstick. Well, this is this is masculine. This is tough. This is like 300 tests a week. Tough. What you guys know about Hello Kitty? Bro, this raises tests, bro. What are we talking about? Okay, but yeah, that was the trade recap for the week. I hope you guys have an absolutely amazing week. This was a longer recap. Main thing I want you guys to take away, holy chop, I have not taken a shower today. I'm going to go take a shower. Main thing I want you guys to take away from this week is that consistency compounds. You guys know me. I love to goof around here and there. But when it comes to the trading, I am serious about succeeding in this. You know, I don't know why you wouldn't be. And if you're watching my content, then the intention is for you to also be serious about succeeding within this industry rather than just pissing around like a video game. Take the time this week, review your trades, review your performance throughout the week. If you struggle with some psychological bits, there's no worries. Don't beat yourself up about it. Review going into next week, recap how you felt, recap your thought process, and take those proper steps in order to move forward. You know, losses are so subjective in the grand scheme of things. And I promise you, you play your cards right with the hand that you already have. I would say with the hand you're dealt, but to be honest, you already have the hand. You just got to choose what cards to play. You have the whole deck, actually. Choose what cards you want to play. Play the right cards you know you should play. Recap, review, refine. Backtest if you need to a little bit. Spend time refining your model in whatever ways you need to do so. Learn more if you need to learn more. And yeah, you will see improvement. And I will be a living testimony to that. Anyways, I absolutely love you guys. I hope you guys have an amazing weekend. Won't be uploading throughout the weekend. Maybe a car convo. I'm not sure. Probably not. Don't quote me on that. But then, yeah, I'll see you guys Friday. Love you guys. And peace and have a nice day.